Okay, so I've been looking around at different VR platforms, other than VR chat. And I'm finding that VR chat, while being the most successful platform, does have kind of a bad reputation. It's often thought of as just a bunch of screaming idiots. And sometimes when I hear that, it's kind of hard not to be offended. I mean, VR chat is my home platform. VR chat is where I've met most of my VR friends, good people, smart people who I love talking with and spending time with. When I hear that kind of thing, it's hard not to be offended. But the fact of the matter is that those comments are not without merit. Fact of the matter is, they're not wrong. VR chat is a bunch of screaming idiots. One trip to the Black Cat is all it takes to prove that. Worlds like the Black Cat are often thought of as starter worlds or gateways to VR chat. Worlds like Black Cat, Drinking Time, and a few others are the very first worlds that most people encounter. And that's not just the first time they enter VR chat. For many, that's the first time they try virtual reality at all. The very first time they put on the headset for any VR application. And where do they wind up? Well, for many of them, it's right in the middle of the Black Cat. For many, this is their introduction to virtual reality as a whole. And for many, this is why they take off the headset. This is why they say virtual reality is stupid, virtual reality sucks. Not just VR chat is stupid and sucks, but all of virtual reality is stupid and sucks. This is what they think we do when we put on the headset. And that goes for you too, Resonite, and that goes for you too, Horizon Worlds. When you tell your casual friends and acquaintances that you do VR, this is what they think you're doing. Sometimes I forget that this is the first thing they see. Sometimes I forget that this is what most people come face to face with the first time that they jump into VR. It's just a bunch of screaming idiots in VR chat. Now, I typically don't go to these worlds, which is why I sometimes forget that this is the common stigma for VR. But there's so much more than this. There's so much more than just the Black Cat. Once you start finding worlds that don't allow squeakers, you start finding a more comfortable environment to chill and relax. Now, keeping the squeakers out is a big part of it. I've done a couple videos on age verification and whether or not I think that it actually does any good. You can check those out if you're interested. But yeah, many worlds will perform an age verification check at the door, whether it be VR Chat's official age ID, which is done through a company called Persona, or just a verbal date of birth check at the door. This will weed out most of the squeakers. Also, the worlds are typically run by staff with the power to kick. So any obvious trolls or troublemakers or anyone not adhering to TOS will simply be removed. What's left is a comfortable social platform where you can meet and talk with people from all over the world. Many of the worlds are often themed, and for instance, there's a lot of furry worlds. There's no shortage of that. And there are also gamer worlds where you can make friends playing games, and also just chill bar worlds where you can meet people and talk about whatever. The unfortunate part is that this is not what most people are first introduced to when they first put on a headset. There's a filtering process to get to this point, to find a more mature and, dare I say, intellectual crowd. But at this point, I want to pull it back just a bit. Listen, virtual reality doesn't have to be a no-fun zone either. There's room for a lot in here. For instance, when I woke up this morning, I opened up YouTube just thinking I would kind of catch the news real quick, and what did I see at the top of my suggestions? It was a Hey I'm B video. And I was thinking, why the heck is there a Hey I'm B video at the top of my suggestions? This girl hasn't been making videos in years. What the hell? Now, for anyone who doesn't know, Hey I'm B is an amazingly successful independent VTuber who made a great deal of fame and fortune just as an all-around fun VTuber, often getting content by doing nothing more than goofing around in VR chat. She has an amazingly beautiful voice with a sultry Australian accent, which made her a very popular personality in the VTuber space. She was really big for a while, and then a few years ago, she just stopped making videos and disappeared. No one's heard of her since. Well, apparently 2 days ago, she started streaming again. She did a live Twitch stream, which I didn't watch, but she also did post some of that to YouTube, which I found this morning. And you know what? It's good to see her again. Good for her. I'm happy to see her back. She's always been one of my favorite VTubers, and yes, I'll admit a little bit of a crush. But anyway, the reason I bring this up is, you know what she was doing? She was going into those entry-level VR chat worlds and just having fun. The types of worlds that I was just trashing a moment ago. That's where she gets her content. Most of her material is just her putting on a headset and running around in VR chat, joking around with people. Just content of her meeting people, laughing, and having fun. No higher messages, just entertainment. And you know what? I think that's fine. Personally, I wouldn't feel comfortable making that kind of content. I wouldn't feel comfortable spending time in those worlds at all. But for her, it works out well. As much as I say that I don't like those kinds of worlds, I have to admit that there is a time and a place for that sort of thing. And for someone like Hey I'm B, it works out well. Like I said, virtual reality doesn't have to be a no fun zone. There's room for a lot in here. I've met people and had the most amazing conversations about everything from world events to politics to quantum physics. But I've also met with friends where the humor is far more lowbrow. But IRL reality is like this too. There's room for a lot there as well. The conversations that you have with your gym friends in the locker room is going to be a lot different than the conversation you have with your colleagues at a work lunch. What we have to accept in VR is that a successful VR interface is likely going to be a full reflection of IRL, including the parts that some of us might not like very much. If you think that the future of VR, the future of the metaverse, if you will be a filtered and curated version of IRL, where only the most highbrow aspects of society and human endeavor are offered on display, if that's what you expect, well then, all I can say to you about that is, don't count on it, kitten. Now, if a VR-style metaverse is ever successful, then looking at society inside that metaverse is going to be a lot like looking into a mirror of our own IRL society. We may see some things that we don't like, and many of us are going to choose to distance ourselves from those things, just like we do in IRL. But we don't then say that we need a better mirror because we don't like what we see. A good mirror will never lie to us, even if we want it to. Well, anyways, let me know what you think about all this. Drop a comment below. In the meantime, I want to thank you for joining me. I am Kinetic, and I'll see you next time.